This week on The Modified World, we're discussing controversial aspects of genital piercing versus genital mutilation, so stay tuned. So, welcome to The Modified World, the weekly web show about body modification, the people who do it, the people who get it, and, of course, why it matters. I'm your host. I'm the senior piercer at the world-renowned Pangea Piercing, beautiful downtown Ann Arbor, Michigan, purveyor of internet wackiness. You know it, you love it. I'm GC Potts. This week, controversy abounds. The National Health Service in the UK this week officially designated female genital piercings as female genital mutilation, thereby angering lots and lots and lots of people. Not just people who've had female genital mutilation done, and not, of course, just piercers and piercing people, but anybody with seems to be a brain or any sense of dignity and honor who want to allow adults to make their own decisions. In a nutshell, basically they're trying to equivalate female genital piercing with female genital mutilation or female circumcision, whatever you want to call it. And here's the thing, is there's a lot of varying degrees on both of these. With certain female genital piercings, like the Christina piercing, you can, basically they're just decorative, mostly. Some of them are a little more functional, like a vertical hood. Of course, if you want to learn more about either one of those topics, you can very easily check out the videos that I've already produced on the topic, where you can get a greater depth of understanding about the topic. But one way or the other, we're talking a little tiny hole, a little tiny needle, a little tiny piece of jewelry, nothing fancy, nothing gets removed. Eminently reversible. Take the jewelry out, it's like virtually like nothing ever happened, and if you really want to get crazy, well, okay, yeah, you might have to clean the hole, the piercing out after you've taken the jewelry out. Not like any kind of big deal. That's my whole point with it. However, when you talk about female circumcision, well, okay, there's a couple of varieties of that. There's what essentially amounts to like a labiaplasty, just kind of trimming off a little bit of beef. And there's also a more radical version that also involves a clitorectomy, which, as you might imagine, is actually cutting the clitoris off. And I'm just like, really? This is a terrible idea. The debate swirls for a couple of reasons. One, because I think most reasonable adults want to be able to make their own decisions concerning their own bodies. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. The thing about female genital mutilation is generally done without consent and on very young people, children. Female genital piercings, though, they're not generally, you're going to be really hard-pressed to find a legitimate piercer who's going to pierce somebody under the age of 18 with the door closed. I'm just saying, Even the more radical amongst us are not going to be generally going that route. The debate is mostly online, consisting of, actually, surprisingly enough, not really having that much to do with actual procedures on people. The two major arguments that I've been seeing online have been all about having to do with religion, because female circumcision, female genital mutilation, whatever you want to call it, is kind of a Muslim thing. And, well, England's had a large Muslim population growing ever rapidly. So, some observers are, theorizing that England is merely trying to crack down on barbaric activities by people who are not assimilating, and by lumping the two together, maybe they can somehow control or regulate or something like that. Which, honestly, I'm not really too sure about, because I'm pretty sure that female genital mutilation's already been illegal in England. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course. The other side of the debate says that maybe the British powers that be are merely trying to equate archaic, barbaric activities with stuff that Western civilization people do and enjoy, and that thereby normalizing the behavior and, helping to deflect any kind of weird feelings about Sharia taking over England. I'm not sure on either one of those. I really don't know because, hey, I'm not a British subject. I do not have boots on the ground in England, but I do have a whole lot of viewers over in the UK. So please, whether or not you're in the UK or not, whether or not you have a vagina or not, let me know what you think about this. Is female genital mutilation the same as getting a piercing? Is it a good idea to try to regulate out activities that we don't understand and don't approve of? I don't know, man. I generally lean towards the idea of letting people do their own thing and not standing in judgment of other cultures and the crazy stuff that they do. But admittedly, this is a little on the radical side. I just can't imagine. So, let me know what you think in the section down below. Of course, that doesn't mean my show is completely over just because I asked you for your opinion in the section down below. I also have to show you the awesome new things I made this week because, I make things every week. Well, or at least one thing that I want to show you. I've had this double forward helix. It was a triple. You saw me get it done on an earlier episode of The Modified World by Miss Courtney Maxwell, currently working at St. Sabrina's. But instead of having some old basic stuff, I made these sweet hybrid bezel prong things. Yeah, they're sweet. They're threadless. They snap together. Properly hardened wires to make sure everything stays secure. I've been doing the 1.5 millimeter ones for a long time, but the 2 millimeter guy is completely new and it was a lot tougher to make, surprisingly enough. But I did that. I made these. And it's kind of cool. I love making the shinies. And of course, that actually does bring me to the part of the show where I answer viewer questions. Maybe it's something interesting. Maybe it's something that doesn't take a whole lot of time to explain. Maybe it doesn't need a whole video and visual explanation to kind of explain it. People ask, I answer. And if I answer your question on the air, and you send me your address afterwards, and I'll send you a pack of swag anywhere in the world. That's right. Stickers, buttons, could be t-shirts. You never exactly know. But anyway, this week's question comes from Mirror Maze, who asks, do we have to ask questions to get swag? Well, not necessarily. You can actually call the shop, man. We'll sell you some stickers or some buttons or a t-shirt or whatever. I'm working on redoing the web store yet again, so right now might not actually have anything on it, but you might want to go and look just to make sure. As I've had other people ask if they could just buy stickers or other swag items and whatnot. And of course, I like ducats and I like making people happy. So if we can exchange these things, then we'll all be happy. Of course, you can just ask me cool questions and get free stuff. But it might take a little while. But hey, anyway, that was my show this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, possibly remotely entertained. I love to hear from you. So go ahead, leave me some comments, questions, whatever you think of. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably ought to, man. I do this every week, and you don't want to be caught in the lurch, left out in the cold, wondering what the hell happened, thinking about all the topics that people were talking about, and you didn't know exactly what JC had said about it. So, go ahead, throw me a subscription, and be sure to stop back by next week for another episode of The Modified World.